welcome.
Hi, guys.
How are you? Hi, Radish.
We are great. Let's get Radish settled. Okay, and a little
Snacks,
further.
Mama.
Good.
There's no snacks.
Good. There you go. Good girl.
Just, okay.
Yeah, no snacks. Just comfies. Okay.
All right.
Got it.
We are so honored this afternoon. We have Darlene with us and Radish. Darlene, thank you so much for joining us today. You're a board member. You've been working with ATOU for how many years?
Since August of 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, but who's counting?
Who's counting?
Yes.
I bet you know the exact minutes, right?
Yeah, practically.
Practically.
Yes.
Okay. Well, how did you first get started with A Touch of Understanding?
Through a mutual friend. Both my girls went through second grade with Ann Mallow.
Okay.
And Ann Mallow is a dear friend of Leslie's, and Leslie DeDora used to be Ann's teaching assistant. And when she started A Touch of Understanding, it was birthed in Ann's classroom.
Oh,
with
my
the second
goodness.
graders.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes, and so my girls came through Ann's class, and Leslie had already left as the TA in order to dedicate more time to ATOU.
Okay.
And in getting to know the girls as teacher, we hit it off, and she just thought that it would be a great fit, and she introduced us, and she was right.
Yeah.
And I've been here. It's like feeding the dog, and it never leaves. that was me.
Well, you also have some special gifts and some definite insight because, you see things a little differently than the rest of us do. That wasn't always the case. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Sure. In November of 1998, I lost my sight completely, so I used to be able to see.
Okay.
And when I was 11, I lost the sight in my right eye. So from 11 years old to 28 years old, I could see out of one eye, and that never stopped me doing anything. Did all the things I wanted to do. Then when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, Kelsey, I started to lose it in my left eye, and fought for 6 years and over 12 surgeries and numerous procedures to win back my sight or keep any of it I could, any residual sight. Anything to me at that time was better than complete blindness.
Right.
So I put myself through it, and but at the I think the 12th surgery, everything went completely dark. So I don't see shadows or light or anything, and that's been since the end of 1998.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tell people that they ask me over the years, well, how can you have such a positive attitude? You can't see anything at all. It must be so hard. And I would never say blindness is easy. I would never sit here and say that this is an easy thing, an easy challenge.
Right.
But it changed my life. It didn't ruin my life. So I just had to learn how to do things differently than I did it before. And yes, I did start my own business, but first, it was A Touch of Understanding.
Okay.
I had just lost my sight 2 years before meeting Leslie.
Wow.
And getting up in front of the classroom of children and speaking about my blindness,
Yeah.
I barely had a handle on it myself, let alone trying to explain it to the little ones.
Right.
And that did something for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there you were trying to help the little ones to understand what it was like to not have your sight, and yet you were probably gaining as much insight into that experience as they were listening to you.
Yes, that's how it turned out, because as I was really demonstrating to them how I was still a mommy and taking care of my little girls who were only 6 and 9 when I lost my sight,
Right.
and still making cookies and macaroni and cheese and vacuuming up Barbie shoes
What
and
kind
the
of
like,
cookies?
chocolate chip,
Okay,
you don't know how many Barbie shoes that I have sucked up in my vacuum cleaner. But in explaining that to them, after a while it started to dawn on me that I really was meeting the challenge of blindness. That things were actually in fact getting done, and I had joy.
Yes. And blindness doesn't define you.
No.
And I think that's one of the things that people struggle with when perhaps it's one thing to be born with a disability because you're having to learn to adapt from day one.
Yes.
It's something else to become disabled later in life or even earlier in life. In your case, it was like in 2 stages.
It was.
And but it doesn't define who you are.
No, just like, my red hair. It's a characteristic of mine.
Is your hair red?
It is red. Doesn't it look red? Uh-oh.
It looks red.
Wait a minute, it used to be red. Okay, that's another thing. Color, gray. What color is my hair? That's another conversation. You have to tell me when the gray starts coming in.
I promise you I will.
okay.
You're looking pretty dynamite, so
Okay,
you're
great,
fine.
great,
You're fine.
great. So it's just like a characteristic of green eyes, red hair.
Got it.
My height.
Right.
I have blindness.
Right.
It's not who I am. It's just a characteristic that I have.
Exactly. And I think those are some of the greatest gifts that when you share with people your story. Well, thank you so much for spending a little time with us this afternoon. Before we conclude, I want you to have this special experience because everybody does, and that's that Mr. Nolan always has a special joke.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to drive.
Yeah, well, that too. We could do that.
Okay, I'll take the joke.
Okay.
Grayson loves this one, by the way.
Okay.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Gorilla.
Gorilla who?
Gorilla cheese sandwich for me, please.
Oh, that's adorable. That's great. I'll tell my grandson.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh
one.
my gosh.